I am going to talk to you guys about healthy habits, one of my favorite topics that I talk to my patients about all the time. And without further ado, I'm going to start. So I just want to kind of go over what we're going to be talking about tonight. So first, I'm going to go into a little bit detail about myself. Then we're going to talk about what is meant by the term healthy. We're also going to talk what is meant by the term habit. We're going to talk a little bit about obesity because I can't give a talk without talking about obesity. We're going to talk about some causes of obesity, and then we're going to get into some healthy habits. And then I have gotten together about 13 tips for parents to follow in order to help you kind of establish healthy habits in your household. So first, a little bit about me. I am from New Jersey. I grew up in Bergen County. Actually, I grew up in Woodcliff Lake, so very local. I went to medical school and did my residency, as Susan had said. I also am board certified in obesity medicine. And one little interesting thing about me is that growing up, I really struggled with my own weight. I was a chronic dieter, meaning that I was always on and off diets. I was always gaining and losing the same 20 pounds, and I really struggled with it. And I really didn't really get it under control until I became a doctor and really started understanding what is the right thing to do. And that's really how I got into this whole thing. I've always been interested in it, and I love helping people, and I love helping people get healthy. So I'm going to start my talk now. So we always talk about the word healthy, and I just thought we'd just spend a minute to talk about what actually is meant by healthy. So the World Health Organization defines healthy as the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's not merely the absence of disease. Most people, usually when I give a talk like this, I ask my audience, what do you think healthy is? And most people just think it's not being sick, but it's a little bit more than that. A healthful lifestyle provides the means to lead a full life with meaning and purpose, and healthcare exists to help people maintain this optimal state of health. Now, what are habits? Habits are the small decisions you make and actions you perform every day. Habits account for about 40% of behaviors on any given day, and these are automatic usually. We do habits really without thinking about it. They're just automatic. And your life today is essentially the sum of all of your habits. I love talking about habits, and if anyone is interested in reading more about habits, I really love a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's one of my favorite books, and if you're looking to change habits from bad habits to good habits, I definitely would recommend that book. And one of the things that James Clear always says is that you get in life what you repeat every single day, and you actually become your habits. So I usually like to explain to my patients that if we can just make small little improvements every single day, you will be able to really improve your lifestyle. Okay, so obesity. Like I said, I am an obesity medicine expert, and I have to always talk about a little bit about obesity in every talk I give. So currently, about a little bit over 40% of the adults in our country are considered to be obese. And when I talk about obese, it's really defined on a person's BMI. And close to 19% of children between the ages of 2 and 19 are also considered to be obese. And children are a little bit different. We consider them obese when they are 95% above the growth, like we plot their BMI on a growth chart, and when they're 95% and above, then we consider them to be obese. So there are a lot of conditions that are related to people who have obesity, and such conditions such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, stroke, high cholesterol, certain cancers, obstructive sleep apnea, polycystic ovarian disease, fatty liver disease. I just named a few, but there's many other things. And we know that obesity really sets the stage for having a lot of comorbidities that, first of all, are involved with decreasing your life expectancy, getting sick, and of course are very, very expensive. The estimated annual medical cost for people with obesity was $147 billion, and that was in 2008. That was the last time we were able to have these types of estimates. Causes of obesity. Basically, it's very complex, and it's really it's kind of an interaction between genetics, environment, and behavior. And obviously, we can't really change our genetics. We're born with our genetics. But the environment and behavior are two different places where we can really make a change. And this is where our healthy habits are going to come in, because if we practice healthy habits, then we could possibly change our behaviors and change our environment and change the course of us becoming obese. And like I said earlier, when you are obese, you are much more likely to get a whole slew of comorbidities and get sick and have an earlier preventable cause of death. So let's talk about some of these healthy habits that I am referring to. So what are healthy habits? So healthy habits are things in everyday life that will be beneficial to our physical, mental, and social well-being. So I've come up with a bunch of habits that I like to talk about. First healthy habit is eating a healthy diet. So what does that mean exactly? So first of all, I always recommend my patients and everybody eat 3 meals a day and healthy snacks. That includes eating breakfast. I have a lot of people coming in who skip breakfast for a variety of reasons. Either they don't have time, they're sleeping late, they don't prioritize breakfast. I am a big breakfast eater. I wake up, I'm hungry, but not everybody does do that. But there's so many benefits of eating breakfast aside from anything to do with weight. For kids, I know it helps them do better in school. They're able to pay attention more. And I've never read any literature or any study that said it's not good to eat breakfast. So definitely recommend breakfast. Snacks should be like mini meals, and the diet should consist of mostly fruits, vegetables, healthy whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. I always suggest my patients to eat real food. Really try to get away from the processed foods. Anything that comes in a box that was made in a plant, that's what we want to get away from. We want to eat real plants, not food that was made in plants. That's really the key. Drink water. That is what, my favorite drink, and that's what I tell all my patients to drink. Really try to stay away from any of the sugar sweetened beverages, juices, Gatorades, lemonades, iced tea, etc. Our body digests liquid calories different than it does solid calories. So definitely recommend people to drink water. Seltzer is okay, milk is okay. A lot of my patients like fruit infused water. Any of those things would be fine. Make sure that you are engaging and your children are engaging in physical activity every single day. Be as active as you can be. It's not just exercise. Being active means take every opportunity possible to be more active. For example, take the stairs when you are, when you need to go upstairs somewhere, and rather than taking an elevator or an escalator, always try to take the stairs. Or when going to the supermarket, a lot of people, or a mall, a lot of people tend to fight over the spots that are closest to the entrance. But why not take this opportunity to get a little more exercise in and park at a spot farther away? These are some ideas that I usually just kind of throw out to my patients. Try to limit recreational screen time. We're just watching too many things on the screens today, especially with a lot of the virtual teaching going on. Kids are just sitting in front of these screens for many hours during the day. My recommendation to my patients is to try to limit it to less than 2 hours a day. Stress, that's a big one. We want to reduce stress, and there's lots of ways to do this. I suggest meditating. Yoga is a really good way to reduce stress. Listen to soft music, take a walk, breathe deeply. All these things will help reduce stress. And another really important one that I usually recommend to my patients is make sure you get enough sleep. Sleep is so, so, so important. I particularly like sleep because I know people who don't get enough sleep tend to eat more the next day. Their hunger hormones are higher, and they tend to crave more carbohydrates the next day. And you're just not at your best when you don't get enough sleep. You can't think straight. You're just not able to concentrate as much. So I wrote down the American Academy of Pediatrics sleep recommendations. So for children 3 to 5, they need somewhere between 10 and 13 hours a night. And that includes naps, by the way. Children 6 to 12 years need about 9 to 12 hours a night, and teenagers need about 8 to 10 hours a night. So, what can you do to promote a healthy lifestyle for your family? So, healthy always starts at home. And a lot of these habits, we need to start them early. We need to get the kids to learn about what to do when they're really young. So they just find whatever the habit is to be a normal way of living. My philosophy is that the physical environment is the driver of all of your habits. So we want to create an environment in your home that is conducive to good habits. We want to make it really easy to do the right thing, and we want to make it hard to kind of do the wrong thing. So the next 13 slides are simple tips that you can follow to help create a healthy home environment that fosters and supports and promotes healthy habits for your family. So tip number 1, buy only what you want your family to eat at the supermarket. So first of all, always try to shop in the periphery of the grocery store because that's where the real food hangs out. Try not to buy the processed unhealthy foods that are located in the middle of the aisle. I like to refer to parents as the nutritional gatekeepers. And I always tell parents, if you don't want your children to eat a box of Oreos or a pint of ice cream, then just don't buy it. Better to not have it in the house, or to make it more of a someday food rather than an everyday food. And it's better just to not have it in the house. So, just beware, be careful what you're bringing into the house. Okay, tip number 2, inventory your home. So kids eat foods that are very visible, and convenience is key. So I like to recommend to place healthy foods in places that are easy to reach, and place the unhealthy foods out of easy reach. So as you can see here, there are vegetables in clear plastic containers. I recommend this to all my patients. I don't know any kid who's going to go into the refrigerator, wash vegetables, wash peppers, celery, cucumbers, and cut them up for themselves. But we want to make it easy and visible so that they open the refrigerator door, they see something colorful, it's already cut up, and they can just grab it when they're hungry. Also, when you are, like you can see in the second picture, there's fruit that's out on the counter. And that's one of the things I recommend. If you're going to keep anything on the counter, keep fruits and vegetables on the counter. Healthy tip number 3. Serve your food restaurant style rather than family style. So traditionally in this country, we tend to serve food family style. And you can see in this picture, it's a very big table. It looks like it's almost like Thanksgiving, I think. You can see how all the food is in front of you. And restaurant style is when you keep the food on the counter and you don't keep any food in front of you. So the study suggests that men tend to eat about 30% more food when it's in front of them, and women tend to eat about 10% more food when it's directly in front of them. So this is such an easy tip for people to eat less. Just keep it off the table. Keep it on, like on the countertop. And I always say, it's not that people can't get second portions, but we want to make it hard for them to have a second portion. A lot of times when people are eating dinner, they're engaged in conversation, the family is all together, everyone is in a good mood, and it's really easy to just want to kind of extend that family time because after dinner, everyone tends to go their own ways. So people tend to just kind of reach over and grab some extra stuff to kind of, make it last a little bit longer. And the study suggests that just the act of actually getting up and getting more food, it doesn't happen. So bottom line is serve food restaurant style and not family style. Healthy tip number 4, set mealtime rules. So I always recommend that families eat together and make mealtime family time. No TVs, no phones, no computers, no screen time at the table. Engage with your children, talk to them. Studies suggest that kids who eat meals with their families, they tend to have better vocabulary, they do better in school, they get into less trouble, and they have lower cases of obesity. And make sure that everyone gets a portion of each food, even if they're not going to eat it, even if a child says, I'm not going to eat green beans or whatever you're serving. I usually recommend just tell the kids everyone gets the same plate and just keep it on their plate. A lot of times when a child sees food put on their plate, they kind of get used to it and it kind of tends to like warm them up and they tend to want to try it after a little while. Healthy tip number 5, reward good behavior with things other than food. This is really important. So don't reward your kids with food, which, I know when I grew up, I was definitely rewarded with food, but it's really important not to do that because it's linked with weight struggles later on in life. Healthy tip number 6. I think I kind of already talked about it, but as far as drinking is concerned, make water and low-fat milk the beverages of choice. Soda, sports drinks, and other sugar-sweetened beverages have no role in a child's diet. Excessive juice is linked to obesity, tooth decay, and diarrhea. So I recommend to my patients just not to have it in the house. Doesn't mean that a child can never have a glass of juice, like once in a while, but I wouldn't keep it in the house for like an everyday usage. Healthy tip number 7, eat at home. When you cook at home, you know what the ingredients are, you know what kind of quality food you're eating. Of course, it saves money and kids tend to like it. So as much as you can, eat at home. Of course, it's fun to go out once in a while, but try not to go out every night or order in every night. Healthy tip number 8, separate feeding from caretaker. So this is a big one. Food is not a way of showing love. And it's really okay to say no to your child. You're not your child's friend. You're their parent. You know what's healthy for them and act accordingly. Healthy tip number 9, walk the walk. It's so important for parents to be good role models. Children are great imitators. They tend to copy what they see their parents do. You really want to try to set a good example on your kids. It will have such a great positive impact on your kids. Instead of going to the movies together, go for a bike ride together. Eat vegetables together, cook together, grow a garden together, eat healthy desserts together. It will pay off. Your kids will learn how to live a healthy lifestyle just from you. Healthy tip number 10, share your feeding practices and rules with everyone in the household. This is so, so, so important. So basically, we want to create a consistent environment on encouraging healthy eating, and we want all family members and caretakers to send the same messages. So mom and dad should be on the same page. Definitely include grandparents in this because grandparents are always the ones that I'm hearing that are giving their kids all, breaking all the rules kind of thing. Nannies, babysitters, you want to put everybody on the same page and everyone sharing the same rules and feeding practice. Healthy Lifeways tip number 10, try using smaller plates. So we know that the bigger the plate that you serve your food on, the bigger the portion you put on the plate, because otherwise the plate looks empty. As you can see in this little picture on the right, you can see there are 3 different plates here. Each plate has the same amount of food. But if you look on the plate on the left, if somebody served me that plate, I would immediately start thinking, and maybe I may be a little bit hungry still because it looks very skimpy. But the plate on the right looks like it's pretty full. So just use this, this little portion size illusion to your advantage and try to eat on smaller plates. Studies that show that we tend to eat about 92% of what's placed on our plate. So the bigger the plate, the more food you're going to put on the plate, and then the more food you're going to eat. So just use this little trick when serving your food. One more thing about the plates. I usually recommend that my patients eat off plates between 9 and 10 inches. I know that the size of the plates have gotten bigger throughout time. 12 inches are, I guess, standard dinner plates now, but I would definitely go for a little bit smaller plate. Healthy Lifeways tip number 12, Your children do not need to be members of the Clean Plate Club. This is so important. Don't ever force your child to finish their plate. This encourages them to monitor how much they are eating through external cues. We want your children to eat through internal cues. We want them to stop eating when their body tells them they don't want to eat anymore. Another thing is, don't praise your child for finishing everything on their plate, because this is going to encourage them to eat for praise rather than for hunger. And it really disrupts their normal eating cues and it messes up their whole system. So allow your child to eat what they feel they want to eat. Our kids are born with that ability to know when to stop eating. So 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they know when they're hungry and they know when they're full. So we don't want to get involved with that. We don't want to encourage them to eat when they're not hungry. Tip number 13, this is a big one. Parents should not act like food police. This is so, so, so important. We really want to praise the good and ignore the bad. You don't want to make any kid feel bad about something that they ate. I always tell my patients there are no good or bad foods. We like to kind of neutralize foods. And when parents are yelling at their children all the time or, acting like the food police, then it really makes kids feel bad and it really can cause disordered eating. So I always, try to tell parents, stay out of it, no food police. You shouldn't restrict any foods. The best way about it is just to not bring it in the house. It's better just to not have it than to restrict it when it's there. So in conclusion, we spoke about the obesity prevalence and some of the comorbid conditions. And we talked about how healthy habits can possibly ameliorate some of those conditions. We talked about nutrition, the importance of exercise, the importance of getting less than 2 hours of screen time, the importance of getting enough sleep, having stress reduction. We talked about healthy starting at home by providing a healthy environment. And we discussed 13 things you can do to help take the guesswork out of making healthy decisions for you and for your family. And lastly, I just wanted to mention a little bit about my program. So I run a family-based lifestyle modification program where we really try to teach our patients all of those healthy habits. And we do a medical evaluation and psychological screening. We do behavioral counseling. We do a lot of nutritional counseling, and we talk about the importance of exercise. We do a lot of goal setting and habit formation and behavioral modification.